Hello, everyone, and welcome back to NFA Live. I'm joined, as you can see, by Ben, and right on time, he has literally just entered the chat. It is Rob as well. Gentlemen, it's lovely to see you. Ben, the last time I saw you was actually in person. It's I'm glad to see you got back to headquarters in one piece.
Headquarters. So, yeah, my basement office. Yeah, but it's great to see you.
I think HQ should be it. And Rob, how are you doing, sir?
Pretty good. Just rushing around, but here we are. Happy to be back.
Happy to see you. Happy to see you both. It's not the last NFA. Well, it's the first NFA for a while because we've all been kind of rushing from pillar to post a bit. So we did one a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? But it's good to be back. It's not quite the last NFA of 2025, but it is the last before Christmas because I think Christmas is a week from now.
Well,
is it a week today?
Yeah. It's from a week. It's a week from today. So realistically, I'm probably not going to be doing NFA Live next week.
Yeah, it's probably going to. This will be the last one for 2025 for sure.
Ben, are you seriously saying to me that you're planning to spend all of Christmas Day with your family and not do a live stream?
Yeah.
At any point? Disgraceful.
Especially because we do it. Especially if we do it in the morning. Like, imagine the kids come downstairs. Wait, guys, don't open your presents. I have to go do NFA Live first.
I think that's the sort of thing they'd be in therapy for a long time afterwards. Yes, well, great to see you guys. Yes, we will not be going live next week, but maybe we can do another one as a belated Christmas gift at some point. And it's nice to see the market taking a little bit of doing a little bit of a pump. I mean, I suppose you could argue that that's probably the result of the CPI coming in a lot lower than expected. But I think we all really know that it's the return of NFA Live, which has brought the animal spirits galloping back, reignited everything. So you're welcome, everyone. But today, I just want to talk to you guys. I have a few questions for you just about kind of the current situation we're in, because it is a bit of a confusing time. I'm seeing a lot of fear, uncertainty, and indeed doubt in the market at the moment. So I just want to get your guys' thoughts on where you think we are, because I think you could argue that it's not entirely clear. Well, let's start then. First of all, if you guys aren't already following Ben and Rob, then there are links to do so down below, and get stuck in. But let's begin. I want to talk about the fact that we've had so much supposedly good news for crypto over the last year. I don't think you can say that 2025 has been short of positive crypto-related headlines. And yet now, these headlines are barely registering in the chart. And instead, it seems like we're at the mercy of, kind of wider macro news, so things like tariffs or geopolitical tensions, and economic data. And that, and Exhibit A on that latter one is the fact that we seem to be pumping off the back of the CPI right now. So my question to you guys is do these positive crypto headlines, are they now irrelevant, at least for the time being? Does it not really matter if we get positive headlines or not? Because are we just being driven by sort of wider market forces? Ben, can I start with you on this one?
Yeah, I think it's like any time, like, in bull markets, no one cares about the bad news, and in bear markets, no one cares about the good news, right? It doesn't mean that it's not good long term, right? I mean, even in 2022, we had some good news. It's just that no one cared about it. We also had some bad news as well. But yeah, like I think right now what's happening in the markets is like we've had this. We've had like a fairly normal cycle in the sense of, like, if you look at the cycle ROI of crypto or of Bitcoin from the low, sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. If you look at it from the low, how can you look at this chart, this current market cycle, and be upset with it, right? Like Bitcoin has done what it always does, just with diminishing returns. And so, I think a lot of people look at a chart like this and it almost maybe becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Where like, everyone just starts believing that the 4-year cycle is intact and that this is going to be the top. And so the market starts going down. But it also doesn't quite feel the same as 2021 either, like late 2021. I mean, the price action kind of does, but there was not really any major moves by altcoins. And I think when you think about it, like, and you look at social interest to channels, you know, like including mine, it's very different from 2021 and 2017 in terms of social interest. So what I think is happening is it's interesting because this peak right here in 2019 also occurred a couple of months before quantitative tightening ended, just kind of like the one in October occurred, and QT ended in December 1st. So I think it's kind of like a coincidence on one hand that QT just happened to end in October, or it happened to end in December. And then we also know in 2019, when QT ended, Bitcoin also had sort of that intermediate top. So what I think's happening is we're just kind of like begrudgingly going down right now, kind of like that 2019 style drop, where you're not getting like this like massive drop that's coming off of euphoria, where you immediately drop like 70%, like we've seen in some of these prior bear markets. But you are starting to see waning interest. I think part of it is people were waiting. They were waiting for QE. They're waiting for lower rates. And then when those things are happening and then they're not leading to the desired result, it just leads to people kind of giving up. And then you get this sort of slow downturn. So what's interesting is if you take this bear market from 2019, right, which we know ended as the Federal Reserve ended QT, and you look at it here, it looks really similar. And if you overlay this, right, like if you overlay these two sort of bear markets, they look kind of similar, right? Like the one from 2019 and then the one from today. So again, I'm not suggesting we should include this pandemic crash, but what I am saying is that like the market, the macro conditions are kind of similar, right? QT is ending in the United States. The Federal Reserve is like, they're slowly lowering rates, but they're not lowering them a ton. And then you just kind of get this slow bleed. And then the Fed, you know, the markets then start waiting for the Fed to do more, right? They want more rate cuts. They want the money printer to come on. And so what happened back in 2019, right, is the market just kind of fell for a little while. And then eventually the money printer really came back on, and then the rest is history. So I think that's kind of what's going on right now. So it's not that the good news doesn't matter. It's just that like markets don't care about it in the short term, right? Like there's other things that are more important in the short term than the news cycle. So and again, like if you think about it, there's been no shortage of good news the entire year. I mean, in this entire cycle, right? The ETFs, and then you have this like quote unquote pro crypto administration coming in. And all these other things, but you know, markets are forward looking, and even on January 20th, the day of inauguration, that ended up being a local top for a long time. And then even when we took it out, we didn't really even go that much higher. So yeah, I think good, and you know, the news matters in a sense, but it does not affect sort of short, like it doesn't really affect price action through the cycles. Like on any given day, if you get like a good CPI report or something, like we could attribute it to that. But here's the counterpoint. If the CPI results came in exactly how they came in, and instead we had a sell-off, people would be saying, oh, the Fed's late. And then people would be screaming for them to cut rates more. And then they'd be like, that's why the market's dropping, is because the Fed needs to cut and they're late and the unemployment rate's going up. But because it came in good and the market rallied, we can just say, oh, the market's rallying because of that. So I do think, kind of like always, no matter what happens, we could find a narrative to support it. It's always easy in hindsight to do that.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Rob, sort of same question to you, but I want to add a twist to it as well. I mean, do you think this is one of those sort of periods where you just have to ride it out? Because it feels like at the moment, you know, the US could announce, I don't know, a strategic Bitcoin reserve, or that it's doing an El Salvador and adopting Bitcoin as a reserve currency, and the market would still just go, meh. But so, I mean, do you think this is one of those periods we just ride out, and then at some point in the hopefully not too distant future, these, good news will start to count for something again?
Well, first of all, like when we talk about writing it out, we can do that. We can talk about it, but you have to take a look at like who are we talking to as far as like writing it out? Is it the person who put a bunch of money into the crypto markets towards the top and mostly altcoins? Or is it someone who understands it's going to take different years to go through? So like to write it out, I think, and on my channel, I talk about this, I go, it's going to get worse. I talked about this like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's going to get worse. So I need you to either stop doing all the leverage plays that you're doing, or I need you to sell and get out, because nothing's going to really help us until the people that are doing all the leverage plays and the open interest kind of spend their money, get wrecked, and leave. And that's part of it. So like for me to say like, well, everybody should just write it out. I think some people can't. And then to speak to what Ben talked about as far as like the narratives, and he's right, we can always find a narrative for it. But I look at this market and I say to myself, why are we going down? Because if we take a look at the global M2 money supply, we're at all-time highs. We look at the United States M2 money supply, we're near or at all-time highs. We're cutting rates right now. Quantitative tightening just stopped on December 1st. And didn't we already start the quantitative easing with $45 billion? So it's already in that process. So it's like, well, how hot does it have to be for the market to flow into digital assets? And then people will say, well, it's not the banana zone yet because the PMI hasn't come out for the business cycle. So we're taking a look at like manufacturing PMI or services PMI, and it's not above 50, which means that there is an expansion of the markets themselves. But if you take a look at it, just 2 days ago, we had the S&P flash U.S. services PMI and flash U.S. manufacturing PMI, and it came out and they were both above 50. So I know it's like it's a very tight knit or kind of like an early projection. But if we're taking a look at business cycles, you just have to sit back and go, why is this happening? And then one of the reasons I can take a look at is open interest is high. Exchanges are liquidating the shorts and the longs. Just happened yesterday, $500 million. And of course, we take a look, well, who manages that and who actually gets rich off that? It's not the people that got liquidated. I think it's some of the exchanges. So I'm not going to say the M word, but it kind of feels like that right now. And then to write it out, I will just say my personal experience, I wish I would have bought more during the pandemic. When everybody told me that half of the world was going to die off and it was the worst thing of all time and Bitcoin was useless. And I was like, well, I'll still keep it, but I'll micro DCA, I called it. These days, I'm using Ben's risk factors on his website, which I steal from daily. And I've been buying more Bitcoin. So I'm short-term bearish, but yet I buy Bitcoin every day.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, some much needed perspective there, I think. Now I want to move on, and this is kind of related to what we were talking about in the last question. But I get the sense that following on from all this good news that we've sort of talked about in terms of crypto, we've got things like stablecoins really going mainstream now. TradFi embracing crypto ever more tightly. I mean, I think it was just yesterday or the day before, the CEO of Fidelity came out and said that she held Bitcoin. She had really positive things to say about it. Vanguard, which was, I think, the lone holdout in terms of spot ETFs, pivoted to crypto, pivoted to offering crypto to their clients a couple of weeks back. JP Morgan has very much changed its tune, even though Jamie Dimon hasn't. So there is this sense that TradFi is embracing crypto ever more tightly, which in theory you think would be good for our bags. But is the notion, I saw an interesting tweet on this and I should have saved it because I credit where it's due, but is the notion of the crypto space, is it becoming more blurred? Because are we now just talking about another arm of the global financial system rather than this kind of standalone, very unique asset class? I mean, I don't think there's necessarily a yes or no answer to this one, but I'm just interested to see whether to get your guys' opinion on it and to see whether does crypto still feel, does it still have that kind of outsider vibe to it that we remember so well from past cycles and all the years back, or is it starting to feel like something else and maybe something less less fun, more integrated with everything else. Rob, can I start with you on this one?
Sure. So it definitely feels different. I mean, especially if we have the BlackRocks and the Fidelities and the JP Morgans there, and those were the guys we were trying to fight against. And I over on Coin Bureau, Nick had on one of the podcasts, I think it was Bianco, and he was talking about how, if he actually interviewed for a Fed Reserve chair or a Fed Reserve board member, didn't get it, but then he was, throughout his years in traditional finance, he goes, we were supposed to beat those guys and we didn't. He said, the CEO and founder of Uber, when they asked him, hey, when are you going to merge with the taxi cab companies? He's like, oh, no, I'm not here to merge with them. I'm here to destroy them. And I'm going to. And we're going to beat them. And he did. And that's pretty much how they reshaped everything. I mean, there's still taxis around, but I mean, who usually uses a taxi these days? Not as many as there used to be. So when I take a look at that, I'm like, this is great for adoption and moving forward. But, do we kind of sell ourselves out? And that's a philosophical question. But I mean, I will say there was one piece that was pretty interesting about like things that actually work and could be a big boom. Guy, if you could throw this up, JP Morgan just came out and they said, hey, we're going to do a money market accounts, not for the plebs, not for retail, but people who have 5 million individually or 25 million net assets for hedge funds. And what they're able to do is and this is all based on Ethereum, move all their funds into a money market, get paid a high yield, and go from there. And people would say, well, who cares about that? Because I can do that already. But if you've ever done a money market, especially for like your small business and you want a loan, it takes time. It takes T+1, T+2 or 3 over the weekend. If they do this as a money market, the amount of time that they can save, because it's near instantaneous, it's the time. So if you got JP Morgan bringing all these clients for millions of dollars, that's one of the biggest banks in the world, and they have $6 trillion assets under management. So if they just get a little partial of that, they actually make this for a money market, you can see things become instantaneous, a real world use. And for every day that they miss out, how many billions of dollars are they wiping out? So if they can do it like this, I was like, this is what it should be. And this is great. And I can see I'm not using a DEX to buy a stupid meme coin. This actually makes a lot of sense, not just for me, but for all the different players. So like when I see this, I'm kind of going back and forth. Like, I know we're supposed to beat these guys, but if we don't kind of have them in and make strange bedfellows, then we don't get this other part. So it's a catch-22. And it does feel different, and who knows where it'll lead to. But hopefully, and the last thing I'll say is that hopefully BlackRock and JP Morgan doesn't destroy us like Bianco's prediction was going to be.
Yeah, well said. Well said. I mean, I guess there's a sense, isn't there, that it's like we don't, as by we, I mean those of us in crypto, those of us, who've been interested in it for a while. I guess we don't really have much of a say if this is something that TradFi has become interested in. And let's face it, this is what a lot of us have wanted. A lot of people have kind of dreamed of. This, I guess, is what you might call mass adoption. That buzz phrase that's been kicking around crypto for so long. But it's one of those things you realize, just, I guess, when it comes along, when these big TradFi institutions come along, you kind of realize how powerless you are in the face of them if they want to do something. Ben, same question to you. Do you feel that it's kind of talking about the crypto space is becoming a bit redundant now, or do you think we still have that kind of niche vibe, niche appeal?
I think there's definitely still some niche appeal to it. I mean, in my everyday life, like I don't know a ton of people that are even interested in crypto. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of speaking from my own experience, but I imagine if I lived in certain place, I mean, like if I lived in Dubai, right, like that would be different. Like maybe I would, it's like there you're going around the city and there's just ads for crypto exchanges like everywhere, like major billboards, and I don't really see that in the United States nearly as much. So I mean, I think it is becoming a lot more mainstream, and not as like, it's not as seen as this like thing that only computer nerds or something are interested in anymore. But I still think there's a level of like not everyone is going to get it, and it seems like every cycle a little bit more people become interested. A few more, and I think now, in my, when I meet people like entrepreneurs, people that are looking to invest a lot of money, it seems like more of them are more interested now in investing in the asset class than I feel like they were a few years ago. Like I feel like in 2022, it was more like no, don't buy crypto because of FTX and everything else. And now we don't really have all those same negative headlines at the current time. So yeah, people seem a little bit more interested, but I think that's the normal part of the cycle. So I mean, it's still definitely a niche because I only get recognized at conferences, right? Which is a good thing. I don't like being recognized. So in that sense, it very much is like a niche thing. Because that's like the only place I get recognized. And kids museums. I was get recognized at kids museums. It's usually the dad of the kid that recognizes me. Well, that's about it. So I don't know. I still see it as a niche thing, but I mean, we are definitely working towards it not being as much of a niche thing.
Yeah. That definitely seems to be the direction of travel. But I think you're right. That there is still a sense that it's niche and a bit outsider. And I mean, I have a very keen ear for mentions of crypto in the real world, quote unquote, the real world. And I'm always struck by I don't think I can remember one mention of crypto on a podcast or in the news or anything like that, in the news story that wasn't sort of that wasn't at least somewhat negative. I saw it. Although that said, I did see an article yesterday. I think you might have talked about this, Rob, about the Marshall Islands issuing their universal basic income via crypto on, I think, the Stellar blockchain. I think, and Rob, you tweeted how it just sort of, in past cycles that would have sent Stellar into Stellar, and instead, But that article I read was actually the first one that I read it twice through, and I was like, I don't actually see them taking any digs at crypto here, which was quite unusual. So I thought, maybe the tide is slowly changing. I think we'll still be, and I think we'll be a niche asset class, a niche space for some time yet, as long as we still have viewers who name themselves after a chair in the back of Ben's office, cracking dad jokes like this. I mean, Ben's chair, that gives me hope. We're still early.
The thing that I can't get over when I go to like conferences and stuff, and like people are talking about people, and if it's like an influencer, they don't refer to them like by their real name, like 80% of the time. It's just some like weird crypto tag or something, like it's just I'm like what other industry does that? Like, when you're at a conference and you refer to all the speakers as like, oh, that's whoever, but instead of saying their real name, they're saying like their what they call themselves.
You know what I mean? Their stage name, like a wrestling conference or something.
Right. It'd be like, oh, instead of Guy, Ben, and Rob, they're like, oh, it's Coin Bureau, Into the Cryptoverse, and Digital Asset News. Like, I'm like that is not a thing in other industries, I don't think.
Yeah. Or they'll just say Dan. Hey, it's Dan over there. I'm like, yeah, good enough.
Right. Yeah.
Close enough. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of part of the. Sometimes I feel it depends on what mood I'm in. Sometimes I feel it's amazing. I love the quirkiness of it, and other times I'm just like, oh my god. I think is it the lead of Bearer Chain who only ever appears in a bear hat and calls himself Smokey the Bearer, and everyone. And you'll see him on stage at a conference. It's just a dude in a bear hat, and you're like, okay, I love it, but how are you ever going to take us seriously?
Well, that guy's a genius because he's never going to get wrench attacked.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's presumably why he's doing it. Yeah.
Take that bear mask off. Anonymous. Genius.
Yeah. And I mean, you're right. I mean, I have had people just shout Coin Bureau at me before. It's like, yes, that is indeed who I work for. It's like seeing someone in the street and shouting like Walgreens at them or BlackRock. It's like, yeah, you can't just shout the name of my, the name of my company.
Instead of Larry Fink, they say, huh?
Imagine he's like Warren Buffett, and they're like, "Oh, there's Berkshire Hathaway."
Yeah, Berkshire. Yeah. Hey, Fink. Hey, BlackRock. Yeah, everyone's where it is.
Oh dear. Yes, someone's saying I thought Guy was Mr. Coin Bureau. Well, you know, I try to be, but not literally. Okay, so another couple of questions, and then I will let you guys get on with your Christmas preparations. Very quickly, it looks like a bear market. It feels like a bear market. Is it a bear market, Ben?
My leading theory is, as I can share it again. So I think we're kind of following this 2019 style bear market. So it doesn't really seem as brutal as the one in 2014, 2018, and 2022. It's just kind of like a slower grind down. We could actually compare this one to the ones in 2014, 2018, and 2022. So if you look at this one, so this is the current one, right? And if you compare it to the bear market that started in late 2021, it's not quite as bad at the current time. I mean, things can change. It's not as bad as the one from 2018 either, or quite as bad as the one in 2014. So I mean, it seems to be lining up with some of these bear markets, but I feel like it matches the 2019 one the closest, right? In terms of what it looks like. So yeah, I think it is a bear market, but I think we're sort of bleeding as the attention leaves crypto. It's not, we're not in a bear market because everyone, we had a lot of new retail investors FOMO in at the top, and now they're scared and we have to wait a year for them to get, rinsed out of the market. It's more so we're just slowly going down because attention has shifted elsewhere. So yeah, I mean, like it certainly feels like one. By the way, in the 2019 bear market, let's just ignore the pandemic. Let's just pretend like we're not talking about that. What actually happened is Bitcoin kind of like swept this low, and then it got a little bit of a rally, and then it came back down one more time. And then you could have argued things started to move, and then the pandemic hit, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like, I wonder if some of these lows down here are going to become relevant, like where Bitcoin, sort of sweeps it and then maybe bounces or something like that. And then we continue the discussion as to whether it's a bear market or not. I just remember back in that 2019 bear market, it certainly didn't really feel like a normal bear market. We also hadn't put it in an all-time high, so it was a little bit different. But I would say we're in one, but it's more so, it more so resembles the 2019 style bear market, where it kind of happened on apathy rather than people panic selling after FOMOing in at the top. And you can actually, if you look at social interest, like it's so low. So, who's selling, right? It's the people that are selling are just the people that have been holding Bitcoin for the last year, and they're maybe tired of waiting. I mean, because the price of Bitcoin is the same as it was a year ago, So I think the people selling are just the people that are kind of tired of waiting, and they're just going to go try to put it in something else. So yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have more of the same until the Fed gets a lot more aggressive in rate cuts. The problem is they can't really get too aggressive until the stock market starts to show signs of weakness. And the stock market hasn't really shown much of any sign of weakness. The stock market is basically near all-time highs.
Yeah. And that's a lot of that money that's been plowed into the likes of Nvidia and the other members of the Mag 7. I guess in previous cycles, that some of that, a decent chunk of that, would have found its way into crypto as a more speculative play. But it just seems like, Nvidia and these other Mag 7s just have so much narrative strength at the moment. Rob, bear, bull? Have we at least got the start of the bear market out of the way? What do you make of it?
Bullish. It's a bull market now. Look, so what it comes down to is, I mean, if we can define what a bear market is, I've taken a look at Investopedia and some other different publications. They'll define it as like a 20% drop from the all-time high. The sentiment is fear or extreme fear, and then also the idea is that we're going to keep seeing lower lows. And if that's the case, then we're in a bear market. And I kind of see it as the same thing. Are we down like 31%? I think that the fear and greed index, I think we're at extreme fear. I think it's been the longest that we've been. We could be at just regular fear. So if I look at it, I'm like, yeah, this is a bear market. The thing that worries me is when I watch Ben's videos or I watch you guys over at Coin Bureau, and we talk about if this was like around 2019 and we keep going. What if it is? What if we just we sweep the lows and we keep going up and that's it? Because for me, I'm always thinking of a 4-year cycle. So if that's the case, then why don't I just wait until October 6, 2026 and then start buying? It's because I'm not 100% sure. So I've just been buying slowly here and going, because if we bounce back, then great. Then I got to buy a bunch of lows and I'm very happy. If we don't and it keeps slow bleeding down, well, that sucks. But that would be par for the course. And at least in that situation, if I dynamic DCA and I do more than what I did last time, then things will come back at some point, if we're still in a 4-year cycle, and be just fine. I just think that right now, everything points to a bear market. But the big question is, when do we turn around? Is it going to be in another year or so? Or is it going to be like 3-4 months, Q2, banana zone, whatever? I have no idea. That's why I just stick around.
Yeah. Good points. Yeah. I'm looking for the comment that someone posted here. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a bear. Simple. There we are. Yeah,
I mean,
it's certainly.
If this is a bull market, it's the worst bull market I've seen.
Yeah. Well, there are quite a few comments like that as well. I think someone would say, "Wait, we're in a bear market. Where was the bull market then?" Yeah. Well, I mean, look. Let's look on the positive side. If we are indeed in a bear market, which, yes, I kind of agree with you guys, looks pretty likely, then at least we've made a start. Do you know what I mean? The sooner we start, the sooner it'll end.
Right, we're already 2 months into it. If we are in one,
accept it, embrace it, embrace your bearishness.
Yeah,
move forward.
I mean, normally though, if it is a bear market, I mean, usually after a few red months, we do get at least a bounce. I don't feel like we've had any bounces yet, so maybe we'll get one early next year. I don't know.
Yeah. Doesn't it feel like, remember in 2021 when we had in April, we had a 64,000, everybody's like, we're going to 150K, like everybody says. And we dropped 50%. And then we rallied back in November to 67K. And as soon as we hit 67K or 60K or above, everybody's like, oh, now we're gonna go to 100, 150K, and it'll never stop. And it just kept going down and down and down and down. And I was looking at like, that's not how it should be. It's supposed to be the other way. And I was in disbelief. And the same thing happened in October 6th. When it hit again, I'm like, okay, now we keep going up. And it kept going down and down and down. It's like the same thing. And then we just had like an all-time high 3 months before that. So it just seems like things like repeat themselves just a little bit. Everything's not perfect, but that's how I see it. I'm like, wow, that's.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of truth to it. I mean, with all the news, with all the indicators, like all you had to do this cycle was buy Bitcoin in Q4 of the midterm year and sell it in Q4 of the post-halving year, and you would have captured all the gains. And you could have done that same thing in literally every cycle, and you would have captured basically all the gains.
Right. Midterm years are bad for crypto, bad for trad markets.
But midterm years are great to buy crypto, especially near the end of them. So, I mean, that's usually where all the opportunity comes in.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned October the 6th, Rob, because obviously 4 days later, that was, we all know what happened then.
I don't know if we even know the full story.
Oh, I'm sure there is a lot more about that to come out. I mean, I'm hearing interesting theories that, that those liquidations on the 10th of October are still kind of rippling through the market. I'm still hearing rumors that maybe some big entity somewhere is bust and has been selling, and I can't say for certain either way, but I mean, it would not surprise me. I'm sure there is stuff still bubbling up under the surface. So
true.
That's be interesting to see what that is when it finally comes out into the open. Now, I saw a few people at the top of the stream because I wanted to ask you guys a purely hypothetical question here. I know this is a bit loaded with politics and everything like that, but don't feel you have to sort of answer it if you don't want to stray too far into the political side of things. But obviously, I wanted to ask whether we might be in a better place as an industry. Would we be higher now? If Kamala Harris had won the election, and whoever at Coin Bureau was putting the thumbnail together for this put Kamala Harris on the thumbnail. I saw some interesting speculation that maybe we'd be getting her on as a guest. I'm sorry to disappoint you folks. That would really have been something out of the left field, wouldn't it? If we suddenly had Kamala Harris coming on to give her views on crypto. That would be interesting TV, I'm sure. But yeah, it is hypothetical, but I kind of feel, given what we've sort of talked about today, it's an interesting hypothetical to consider. I mean, do you guys have any particular thoughts on it either way? And like I say, I know you don't want to stray too far into politics because it is an absolute minefield, but any particular thoughts, Rob?
I was going to say this is definitely a Ben question. So
I mean, I first of all, I would say, I mean, Bitcoin has historically gone up under both Democratic and Republican, presidents. Sure. And whenever they control Congress, like Bitcoin has gone up no matter what. I will say though, I mean, in general, markets hate uncertainty. Like they absolutely hate uncertainty. And there was a lot of uncertainty back in like February, March, and April, with all the tariff, discussions and whatnot, and like that kind of killed some of the momentum back then. I feel like because we had some good momentum going into the inauguration. That kind of killed some of the momentum. And there's just been this constant tariff discussion. I mean, at the end of the day, I would argue that the price, like the 4-year cycle is intact, right? So I don't like if Kamala Harris were in office, that doesn't mean that I think we would still be in a bull market. I'm not sure exactly how high price would have gone. It might have been a little bit different because we might not have had tariff discussions, but I mean, sure. It's not like there wouldn't have been other things to worry about because correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, wasn't she talking about even, I don't know how serious she was, but weren't there some discussions back then about like implementing taxes on unrealized gains and stuff? I don't. Yeah, like I think like I mean there might have been other things to worry about, right? And you could have argued had she been elected, maybe Bitcoin would have done the exact same thing, and we would all just be sitting here wondering how high it would have gone had Trump been elected. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like for someone like me, I tend to say like that stuff doesn't matter. Like Bitcoin exists sort of outside of politics. I mean, remember, Bitcoin went to $69,000 without a single president ever caring about it. And I mean, basically, Bitcoin went to near where the current price is with all the prior presidents previously just basically calling it a scam. So I don't know that the whole the political scene really affects it as much as we think it does. I think Bitcoin's going to do what it's going to do. And also, too, I mean, you could argue, well, maybe it's the unemployment rate that's been going up recently that's been causing it to, causing sort of this bearish price action. But I mean, the unemployment rate was already going up before Trump took office, right? It was kind of like how in 2022, you're right, in 2021, like the inflation rate was already kind of trending higher before Biden took office. Like it wasn't like had Biden not taken office, there wouldn't have been in worldwide inflation. There was a ton of money printing and supply chain issues that were happening regardless of that administration. And you could argue the same thing's happening now, right? Like there's been a weakening labor market well before the Republicans got into power, right? I mean, hires and job openings were already basically where they are now before Trump took office at really low levels. So I think what I honestly think in politics, like the thing that they do best is they hand off all their problems to the next administration and then blame them for it. It's like, hey, here's a rising inflation, you deal with it. And now it's like, here's a rising unemployment rate, you deal with it. So it just kind of, the pendulum just swings back and forth.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. I mean, that happens. I'm sure that happens in all democracies, but it's, there's a lot of that kind of goes on in the UK as well. Every government that comes in spends, most of their term blaming the previous government. Blaming the situation they inherited from the previous government, and it becomes a bit of a stuck record. But yeah, that's a very interesting take on it, and I think it is an interesting counterfactual, and I mean counterfactuals you can debate them all day until the cows come home, and what does it really achieve? But I think it is worth considering because, and there were some really good comments on this. I just want to pull up a couple of them here. Oh yes, this one from 2cash666. That would have been unironically bullish. This is if Harris had won the election. Crypto did well when it was the underdog. I mean, on the basis of the available evidence, that's I'll keep that up there. That's very true. I think crypto
did well when it was hated.
What's that?
It did really well. Like whenever crypto was hated, that's when it did the best.
Yeah,
when it's loved, it's been more bearish.
I think you could make an argument for, part of its appeal was that real outsiderish status. And it kind of lost that a bit when Trump endorsed it so wholeheartedly, in part because, Trump is, however you feel about him, he is the embodiment of the establishment now. The president is the establishment. So crypto went from being an anti-establishment kind of rebel outsider thing to being basically endorsed by the president, which is about as establishment as you can get. And I think as well, that it also kind of aligned it very firmly with the right wing of politics, which obviously where Trump is on. And I think for a lot of people, that is that has made it less palatable because we live in such partisan, in times where people are so divided politically. The gulf between left and right seems to be growing so much. So I thought that was an interesting comment there from 2cash. And then this one from Eman, Kamala would have turned the money printer on. Well, yeah, that's kind of to your point, Ben, isn't it? This is what all presidents do. Whoever had won and whoever wins the next election will just print money and keep adding debt to the pile, right?
I mean, what else are they going to do? Because no one wants to deal with the other alternative of fiscal responsibility. So you always just pass off your problems to someone else. Yeah.
Very true. And I guess, I think to close this one, it reminded me, when you think about what we kind of got with Trump, we got kind of everything that we wanted. And that takes us back to the things that we were discussing at the beginning of this, at the top of this stream, the fact that we've got so much of what we were hoping for in previous cycles, this kind of institutional acceptance and this, acceptance by the government. But it put me in mind of something Bertrand Russell said, the philosopher Bertrand Russell. He said, to be without some of the things you want is an indispensable part of happiness. So I kind of feel maybe getting what we wanted it was the worst possible thing that could have happened to us as an industry. Maybe the whole point is that we don't get what we want. I don't know. Maybe that's going off on too philosophical a tangent there. But
or maybe it's just that everything was inevitable. I mean, it was going to go this way anyway, and Trump just accelerated everything. I mean, this Operation Choke Point 2.0 wasn't going to go on forever. So when he stepped in and then they actually allowed the banks to flourish and get into it, then it just happened now. It's either that or you get Harris in and she stops or she keeps on with the status quo and then it just doesn't progress. And then we have a little bit more of a bull run, but as time goes on, it's going to change everything. I think the one thing that helped though was the SEC and the change over there and the ETFs that were put out. Unfortunately, didn't work too well for all the altcoins because this was a bad season.
Yeah, we got what we wanted, and and it didn't make us happy. There's a lesson in there somewhere. Okay, I'm going to let you guys go in a minute. I just want to flag up a couple of other comments. I thought this one was good. New bear market definition: when the manipulation and corruption is so bad, people are saying Gary Gensler did a good job. There's I do enjoy that on the timeline when things get particularly bad, when prices really start crashing and you start seeing Gary Gensler's face again, people posting like he was right, or perhaps we can get him back.
Hey, never forget who was the deciding vote for the Bitcoin ETF.
Yeah, very true. Very true. He knew, he understood, he gave us what we wanted. He knew it wouldn't make us happy. That was his gift to us.
Like he left, and then everyone and their moms just launched meme coins for the next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's a really interesting point, because I think one of the things that sort of really, for me, one of the moments where the bubble sort of burst a little bit, not in terms of prices, but in terms of like, oh my word, suddenly crypto is being accepted, was when those Trump and Melania meme coins launched on the eve of his inauguration. And for me, that was a moment of like, oh, maybe this isn't going to be. Maybe we're not going to have it quite the way we want it, because I really don't think anyone asked for this, but that's what we got. But look, maybe Gary is with us in spirit. We'll close with this one. Human Being 33. I hope BTC goes to a big fat zero. Well, my friend, all I can say is you've come to the wrong place. I don't know why you're watching this stream, but I hope you got some value out of it. I can't say I agree with you, but it's great. Maybe that's the spirit of Gary Gensler lurking in the comments there. Gentlemen, thank you for today. It's lovely to see your faces. It's lovely to hear your views at a tricky time for the markets, even with prices getting a bit of a bump, as we mentioned earlier, off that positive CPI print. There are better days ahead. We've just got to wait for them, right?
That's the idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's been lovely to see you guys. So no NFA next week, because obviously next week is Christmas and we will be doing Christmassy things. But we will be back with you soon. The next NFA show will be on Ben's channel.
Yep.
And we will be back with you very soon. So to everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sticking around during difficult times. A very Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate, and happy holidays, or whatever you say to those who don't. Rob, Ben, a very happy Christmas to you. I hope you guys have a great one, and I'll see you again soon.
Merry Christmas. Adios.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye.